My name's Luke Payson, and I am honored to have a returning guest of the show, James Stevenson. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Thanks, Luke.
It's great to have you back on the show. I had you on the show a few months ago when you were making your amateur MMA debut for Brawl in the Berg, and you're back because we're under a month away. Yesterday was a month away from Brawl in the Berg 17 at the Monroeville Convention Center, and you're going to be fighting again. So let's jump in. What are your thoughts coming into this fight, and how's everything been going for you?
Everything's been good, especially with the gym switch to the academy with Kama. Really just trusting him and the whole new process. Going down in weight to 145 for this fight is definitely the big change going to be for this. I think the 45 is definitely a better fit for me, for my size and how tall I am. That's the first thing we talked about when I went to the gym. He's like, "You're fighting 145. I don't want to hear anything else. That's who you're fighting at." So that was the first thing. For this camp, I've been working really hard on striking. That's definitely. I know that I can grapple. I think I showed that the first fight. So I'd rather get my striking good. That way I can have a good pace going into this fight. So it's going to be on my terms, not theirs.
Well, that does make a big difference, knowing that you want to improve certain areas. Obviously, making the walk and getting into your first MMA fight is a success, even though it ended badly in a way that you wouldn't want it to. You still got a lot out of doing it, which is a big thing. Do you think it kind of helped coming into this fight to have the experience as far as nerves or just the environment, all of those type things?
I think the worst part or the first one was waiting. Like hearing the crowd, it makes it that's when the nerves start going. Honestly, before that fight, I was so nervous. Like I didn't eat nothing all day. Like I was just nervous. And then the first round, I was pretty dominant in the first round. I think like the slams were just too much. I think that finally caught up to me, like within the second round, which I'm sure you guys saw that because I went back and watched it. And the second round, after the second round, like I just had the worst adrenaline dump of my life, and I couldn't even pick my arms up. It was like kind of scary for a moment because I was like blacking out, standing up, and like I wanted to keep fighting. And then, my coaches and then Chip came over. He's like, "Yeah, you're done." So more mad at myself because I didn't prepare enough for it. I mean, I prepared enough. I just didn't do my part. There's like nutrition side of it, but you live and learn. Definitely, I feel more comfortable for the second one experience, like not the jitters, but what to expect. Like the walk, I think the walk was the best part, just getting zoned in, walking up there. I was all hyped. And once you're in there, it just feels like another day of training. That's how it felt to me. But other people are different.
Well, I think that's great. Dialing in your nutrition. You're going to be doing a weight cut, although I just checked your official weight last time for 155 was 151. So you were already, under the weight limit, which is why it makes sense going to 45. Kama obviously fought at 155 for 247 and was the champion, and then he went to the UFC at 155. So it kind of makes sense that he can kind of tell whether or not you're a 155 or in this case 145 is a better weight class for you. I think that makes a lot of sense. And
right.
You already said about your nerves and maybe asking Kama or asking people that have had big fights, kind of what do you eat, what works for them, and then finding something that works for you as far as nutrition and energy. You mentioned Skip Snyder, and even though no fighter wants their fight stopped by the referee, that's what Chip's in there for, right? Not only to protect you from your opponent, but to protect you from yourself. And yeah, it's okay to have a bad night. Things just not at least a bad round, because your first round, you really showed off your wrestling and your slams. So what are your thoughts coming in about your opponent? I'm guessing you probably don't know the most about him, but do you know things about him, or is it just about taking the match that Jim Mooney, the matchmaker for 247, offered you? And also, you're doing the turnaround from Brawl in the Berg 16, April 15th, to immediately Brawl in the Berg 17. So no gap between the events as far as 247 goes. So talk a little bit about your thoughts on fighting Mar Mathis.
So let Kama handle the picking the fighters. So
Sure.
I didn't I didn't even know I was fighting them. They sent the contract. Obviously, I signed it because I definitely like this stuff. So I got the contract. I signed it, and then I watched the. He's supposed to fight Craig last event, I believe.
Yes, yeah, it's
And
right here. They were
yeah,
signed up with each other. Yeah.
right. Something happened there. I guess he had some personal issues, and then so I watched his. I think he has a fight on YouTube, and then he fought Cliff Richards, I believe, on Brandenburg 9, I
Oh,
believe.
okay. I remember Cliff because he's a Marine vet now living
Yeah,
down in Tijuana.
yeah. So I watched some film on him. Another tall guy, like I fought the first time. He's athletic. I mean, I feel this fight I'll come in more comfortable. Definitely, definitely want to show up striking this fight. I know that I can grapple. I know that's there, but I'm definitely looking for a finish this fight. So he's definitely gonna be a tough guy, but I definitely looking for a finish.
Well, that's the great mindset, that prediction. You're coming back in with the goal to get a finish. You mentioned Craig Perry, so let's talk about that. You guys are both at 145.
Yeah,
He really battled through. He's always represented the academy, but he had a couple, like a freak loss and a couple other things, and ended up starting his career 0-3. And just to even keep fighting after an 0-3 start, then he had a really great win. And it was a feel-good story to watch Craig Perry. What's it like training
right.
with him? I'm assuming you guys spar quite a bit or train because you guys are about the same size. And is there anybody else from the academy that you really spend a lot of time with?
I mean, spent a lot of time with Chase,
Sure.
Edgar. Uh, they have a Ned. He's kickboxing here July 1st. Um, Definitely Craig. Craig actually had something happen to his nose, so he can't spar. But he's definitely
Oh,
helped me with like Mar being a southpaw. So I work with Craig on like the footwork of it. Um, Mostly a lot of work with Kama, Coach Whitefang, who is absolutely insane when it comes to sparring. I never seen anything like that. It was pretty intense. Uh, Definitely, Chase has been helping me a lot in the jiu-jitsu side of it as well. He's high level, man. Like on the ground, he is an all-time threat. I never seen anything
oh,
like it.
oh, he
But
is. Yeah, I've
yeah,
watched him in front of me. Yeah, his ground game
yeah,
is
when he gets you
incredible.
down,
Yeah.
yeah, if he gets you down, he knows all those slick moves. So you got to watch him. Training with Eddie, I'm hyped to fight with all these guys. Definitely the atmosphere is very good. Then you got Kama in the background. He just lets us have it. You know how he is. So you don't know what you're gonna get from him, but he makes practice better, whether it's good or bad. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's a great attitude. That's a great attitude to have. And that's a great gym. You know, Kama is the legend in the Pittsburgh area, made it all the way to the UFC, really helped 247 get on the mat.
right,
Ethan Goss really helped. And another guy that used to train at the academy that's now out in Colorado, John DeJesus, who was another former champion. You know, those three kind of veteran pros really helped 247, but also all won belts and kind of showed that 247 is important. Yeah, I was going back to Chase. I watched him fight Brogan Andres, and it was an incredible rear naked choke win. He can just find that. I think he's a bit bigger. He fights at 70, right? So what's it like going with a slightly bigger guy on the ground? It's probably ideal to get better going with a bigger guy on the
oh
ground.
yeah, going with him, and then like he's teaching you at the same time. You know, um, I forgot to mention Chaka. He taught me a lot working with
Sure.
him too. Like sparring him is man. He's definitely him and Kama are elite strikers. Like
Yeah.
they're top tier for sure. Uh, Him, we actually have a guy making a debut, Will. So shout out to him. I'm hyped for him for this fight. So I have to see him on the card with us. So there's about I'd say there's three of us now, four of us fighting. So it's gonna be a fun night.
That is exciting. As far as you go as a fighter, you're also part of a team. So how do you balance that? You got to dial in to be there for your fight, get the win. But are you also the type of guy that once you win, once your fight's over, that you're then turn into kind of support fan of the teammates? Is that something you plan on doing with all Chase is fighting advanced amateur fight, which will take place later on the card, that type of stuff.
Right. Yeah, of course, man. It's a family there. Kama says it. We're family. So I know Ned has a kickboxing tournament in Ohio in July, so I'm driving up for that, to support everybody. We're just a family now. So we're all there for each other, good or bad.
Well, that does make a big difference. You already said that you're looking for a finish. So as far as predictions go, that's a great prediction. Do you have people you want to thank? You've already run through your sparring partners, everybody at the academy, and Chaka and Kama and all that. Do you have any sponsors or anybody else you want to give shout outs to? I can't wait to see what you and everyone else. It's a stacked card for Brandenburg 17, Monroeville Convention Center, July 15th. But go ahead, sir.
I do have some sponsors for this fight. They're
Sure.
local. Coffee on Crawford. It's in Connorsville. It's a good spot. If you're ever up this way, you have to get some coffee there. My man Brady, he details cars. Check him out. Dave Harper's Construction. Good company there. Black Sheep Arts. It's my tattoo artist, Jeremy Perkins. Shout out to him. And then there's Holly's Closet, which is in Brownsville. She sells clothes. So if anyone's in the area and needs some clothes, they'll go hit her up as well. And Saddle Up Towing. It's a local towing company here in Connorsville. I know the owner really well, and she was the first one to support me. So shout out to them as well. So that's my sponsors for this fight.
I think that's wonderful. Not only a shout out to the sponsors as far as people to go and become patrons of them, but it's also great to see local sponsors like on your list getting behind local fighters. The big sponsors that we see at Bellator, PFL, and UFC, they're like national brands, but no fighter gets to the big level without first having, good local sponsorship. So glad you knew them all. Glad you went through them. It really is a big deal. I know for regional fans, take notice of what's on the back of people's shirts.
Right.
It really makes a big difference as far as the sponsors go. Glad you have so many sponsors. I know last time you talked about people on the force from your job being excited. Is that another thing that gets you motivated?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They'll be there. They'll be there again.
Good. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm
I was
excited.
surprised. The last one, I was surprised how many people actually came. I had a decent amount of people there. So this one I'll have even more. So I'm hyped about that.
Well, that is great that you have even more people, there to support you from your work. It's super exciting. Everybody loves watching somebody they know do a sport, particularly fight, because you feel more connected to it. That's what makes probably regional MMA even more exciting. You can actually know the fighters and support them that way. So I really appreciate you coming back on. Can't wait to see what happens. It's going to be an incredibly stacked card. You said you're going to have people there, so this is a good reminder for people to buy tickets directly from you, from the fighters, or even from the gym. Sometimes gyms will have tickets there, or the fighters directly. If anyone does end up streaming the fight and not coming in person, they can buy the pay-per-view through 247fighting.com or 247 Live app on all their app devices, smart devices. And I always just remind people, if you're using pay-per-view, to still to pick your name and give you credit when they check out as far as getting pay-per-view. Can't wait to see what happens. I really appreciate you coming back on the show. You've been listening to Luke Basin from MMA Fancast with James. Thanks so much for coming back on.
Thank you for having me, Luke.
You got it. Take care.